In this video, we're going to consider two main areas of AI. You've got the hype and you've got the reality. You've got the idea that you as a business owner would have that AI would deliver to your business versus what really happens. Now, why is it that the savings you're expecting to make within your project or within your business never quite materialize? It's not because you're doing anything particularly wrong, it's because the concepts you've been looking at you haven't applied, and some of the news and some of the things you've read about or watched on YouTube are not actually delivering what they say. So let's ground ourselves on some reality and look at the best way to make a lot more for our businesses and make a lot more, get a lot more returns through the what we're spending on the AI infrastructure. So your AI cost saving project is not doomed if you do the right things, right? If you start with savings in mind, okay, I want to save $10,000, I want to save $15,000, you've actually missed the point of the AI project and what that's supposed to do within your business. Now, there are two aspects to AI, or what people call AI. You've got the intelligence aspect, which is generative and something that's created by a bunch of software running in the background, and then you have automation. And for most people, the first bit that you want in your business is automation, because that's what takes the workflows that you're working on or that your business operates on and converts that into something that computers can run in the background. So think about the cost. So if you're thinking about cost or starting from the point of view of savings of a specific number, then you're missing the point. And we'll go through this session today and you'd see other things that you want to be considering when you're looking at saving. Now, if you think about how much money you could save, you're missing the components that lead to that saving that you ultimately want. Now, the end goal is that you save money, but that is not the first thing that you consider. Now, look at the things that you'd want fixed within your organization. Typically, you bring someone in, you'd say, okay, we want to save X amount of money. There then is a discovery. And through that discovery, you identify the tasks that need to be automated. So things like, okay, let's read an email, summarize a document, complete a task. And then the person who's come in and done the assessment, or in conjunction with yourself, you've come up with these things, these tasks that need automating, and then a demo is prepared. That demo would definitely work 100% of the time because that's what the expert is very good at. Now, the difference is the demonstration would only show you one task. So preparing an email, fine. The demonstration might show, okay, and an inquiry comes in, an email is prepared and then sent to you via draft. That is fine. Is that all that your business entails? Is that all that that particular workflow entails? What about updating the CRM and alerting the sales team to what they should be doing next? All those things are things that you want to form part of the investigation or discovery of what you need to do going forward. So think about the messy information. Okay, people complete a form on your website, but they haven't provided the right postcode, or they haven't provided the right information that you need to qualify them, like the revenue of their business or how many employees they have, or whatever you need to make decisions or automated decisions. Now, and then every workflow has exceptions. What happens 5 p.m. on a Friday? What happens at 7 p.m. on a Friday? How are you supposed to handle that? What are the business rules that you need to consider? What makes somebody qualify to have you address their inquiry? So, and then there's a final bit, which is the human judgment. So the AI demonstration would automate the happy path every single time. The bit where you start saving money is the bit that isn't the happy path, where you then need to get involved. So we need AI to reduce our costs. That statement in and of itself doesn't explain what needs to happen. You need to explain the workflow. So think in terms of workflows. So which processes need to change, which decisions require a human being, and how the savings be measured. So if you're going to save 10,000, how is that going to happen? Which flows would need to be automated in order for you to get that saving? So if we take a typical workflow that many businesses have, a new inquiry comes in. I've mentioned this. Something reads the inquiry, a human. right now. You identify what the customer wants. You decide what the lead, whether the lead is relevant or not. You check for any missing information. You write a response, update the CRM. You chase the lead if they disappear. You book a call. So all of these things are things you'd expect your VA to do or yourself to do. Those are the workflows that you need to start breaking down into its different components. You build the automation around those and then put them all together. So those are different operations. So it's by completing that successfully and measuring what the outcome is that you then start to see if there's actually a saving or not. There's no guarantee that there would always be a saving. So if you're building the automation, um, it's a weak, it will be considered a weak automation if you have too many assumptions within the workflow. So seeing an AI write an email does not actually mean that you've automated the entire inquiry process. There are things that you need in order to say, okay, that this email automation or this inquiry automation is fully working for your business. The other bits of information that you need in order to do this automation would be, okay, what services does your business offer? And if a lead has come in and asked for t-shirts, but you're actually in the HVAC industry, both are not really related. So, what information is missing? How do you guide the lead that comes to your business? How do you guide the spammers? How do you make sure the spammers are weeded out? What information needs to go into your CRM? You don't want to fill your CRM with incorrect information or incorrect people. So, a better project brief would be something like, okay, when a new inquiry arrives, extract the important details, identify the requested service, flag any missing information, recommend the next action, prepare a response, and then create the correct CRM task for the human approval. So in there are many, many aspects to it. So if you extract all of those things, that's a brief. And then from the brief, you start to create something that has a clear defined input, something that you can measure, usable output, and the approval rules for the humans that will be involved. Now, we'll go through some reasons why the automation might fail and why the hype overtakes reality. So if you start with that financial target, we need to save $20,000 or we need to save £20,000, then your AI will start to search for somewhere to, um, help you save those $20,000, but then you're shoehorning an AI solution and forcing it to get you those $20,000 savings. And if you plug this into ChatGPT or any one of the LLMs, it will find you savings, but those savings will not necessarily be what would work for your organization. So the better approach would be to identify the problem, detail what the problem is, and then detail how you're going to measure that something has been fixed or something is improving. And then only then would you start to see the output come out as cost saving or time saving. And you may find that you've not actually improved anything or you've not actually saved yourself much time. If it's taking your staff similar amount of time to complete something manually as it would with automation that is incomplete, then that's not really saved you anything. The failure reason number two is that you do not know what the current numbers are. So saying inquiries take too long, the team does not have the team does too much admin, we keep missing follow-ups. What does that look like in reality? Okay, how many inquiries do you get in and how long does each one take? What happens on average? How many errors occur? So when you have those numbers, then you are working based off of a defined baseline. So without a baseline, you cannot prove that there's been any saving whatsoever. So you want to start to measure before you start automating anything. And that means that you get these numbers, you take the time that it would requires in order to get actual stats and actual analytics. And with that information, you then work out, okay, has this thing saved me anything at the end, or is it likely to save me anything? So measure the number of tasks that you receive each month, average handling time, conversion rates, the missed follow-ups. Just tailor this to the situation within your organization, not assumptions, but actual numbers. Failure reason number three is that your data and rules are unclear. So you can gather emails, spreadsheets, old documents, different software platforms, WhatsApp, all of these things are inputs into a system, which is your business. And if you're trying to improve the handling of your WhatsApp leads or your WhatsApp inquiries, how would you measure that an improvement has actually occurred? That is one of the questions that you want to be asking and answering at the beginning if you pick WhatsApp. If you say that you're getting loads of information through spreadsheets, or you receive emails with dozens of attached spreadsheets and you want to extract information from it, how do you do that? How do you do that currently, and how long does that take? So that's the sort of thing you want to be doing upfront. So AI does not fix anything that's broken automatically. If you have a broken process, if you don't have something that actually works or isn't clear in anybody's head, the first thing you want to do is actually get that clarity. And then from that clarity, you get some numbers. And then from the numbers, you get things that you can automate and measure. So the other thing that people do is they only look at the software cost. So they say, okay, I know I can subscribe to the automation for $20 a month, and then they build the implementation around that. The fact is, the software implementation is, in most cases, a lot more expensive than the software cost. So you want to have a realistic view of what it will cost in order to put things into your live system. So think about, when you think of implementation, think of the time it will take to do the discovery within your organization. And discovery just means you go through answering questions and looking at every single aspect of your business and turning those into actual workflows. So somebody needs to do that. Somebody would sit with your team, sit with different departments, extract the knowledge and information, and then have to go back and create a design that will convert what he has heard or what he has learned from your business into actual workflows. So I've got a breakdown of all of the steps that would need to be completed. So one, you need to map the workflow based on off of the interviews that you've had with the AI expert. Organize the data, define the rules. So these are your business rules. What happens if X happens? What happens when Y comes in? Connect the systems. That's part of the implementation. Test the outputs, design the approval process. How do you handle exceptions? Monitor the performance over time, and then maintain the automation. So cheap software does not automatically create a cheap project. It's all about how you build the implementation around the software itself. So the biggest savings myth is that saving time automatically leads to saving money. But that's not always the case. So saving time does not automatically save you money. Uh, think about an employee for whom you saved, let's say, 10 hours a month or 15 hours. If you've got 5 employees and none of those employees apply the extra saving to anything that's in any way benefiting the business, then you've not really made any saving. You've just taken time and then given it back. And as you know, uh, the operations within your business will fill the time that you allocate to it. So think about questions you'd want to answer. So I save my employees or my staff 10 hours a month. What do I want them to apply those 10 hours to? What extra should they do? Is it more outreach? Should they make more calls? Should they fix more errors? Better response times? Does their productivity increase or improve? So these are things you want to be looking at. So time saving hasn't become any business saving, and that's the part of the issue. You want to convert that time into value. So every time saving project needs a conversion plan. So if the time that's been saved, the 50 extra hours, means that you don't have to employ new staff, then that's fantastic, right? It saves you money. Does that improve your service delivery, remove any other software cost? So things like that, those are the things that you want to use to figure out what the return on your investment is. So the safer first project that you want to look at would be to do things like extracting information from your inbound links. organize data, classify requests, identify missing details. So these things that humans would have to do within the organization, those are things you want to start to automate. So just pick one of those things and then work with somebody, or do it. You could do it yourself to come up with how you can automate that particular workflow. So let's make this concrete. Let's say you have an organization where you receive a lot of messages through your website, so through your chatbot. And right now, when the message is completed, you receive an email in your inbox. Then somebody needs to go to the email to take the inquiry from the website, take that information, put it into your CRM. If they need to call the person immediately. And if there's any missing information, they then send a reply back to that individual to ask for the missing information. And you can say, all right, I don't want my receptionist or my staff checking the emails in the morning just to ask for missing information. So what you can do is you can take that particular workflow and say, okay, when this somebody completes this on my website, you could actually have a chatbot directly on your website that completes the forms or the missing details that you typically would expect from someone that's completed something online. So right there and then, the person, your client, is completing all of that information. As soon as they press submit, it doesn't go into an email, it goes directly into your CRM. And then within your CRM, all of that information is complete, and then the client is qualified before the information is saved. And through that, you have saved yourself a whole lot of time, because then your staff doesn't have to do it. And then what you're dealing with next is, okay, has that client been qualified correctly based on the rules that I have? Then you need to leave some space for the human to be involved. There would always be humans involved. That's the recommendation, to review the information that's coming in, make sure it's correct, and obviously take samples and validate that what you're getting through is actually what you ought to be receiving. So automate the preparation before automating the decision. So the preparation is essentially handling all of the input that comes in. So what success looks like? A successful project will answer 5 questions. So what repeated workflow are we improving? What part will AI perform? Where is a human approval required? What number should this improve? And how will that improvement create financial value? So if you're able to answer those 5 questions with what you're asking for, then you're definitely on the right track. So the reality of AI is that AI in and of itself is very powerful, but it just needs to be deployed correctly. It's a tool. So you need to use a tool correctly. You need to use a tool to improve your business, improve your processes, and apply some intelligence based on what you know about your business as to where the AI can do what it does, and then where the human needs to take over. So you must have a defined workflow, some reliable information, clear business rules, suitable integrations. So this is where you'd work with an AI expert, or you do your research to find what integrations you need. The human oversight. Don't just let AI run off by itself. It could go rogue. A lot of testing, constant testing, monitoring and measuring what the outcomes are like. So you can see if anything starts to degrade or the LLM starts to function in a way that you don't expect it to. You want to catch that pretty quickly. So the technology is only part of the project. The implementation is definitely, or how you implement it is definitely very important. So the 3 questions before investing in AI to ask would be, which workflow repeatedly consumes your time, creates mistakes, or loses opportunities? The second question is, which part of that workflow can AI prepare, improve, or accelerate? And then the final one is, how will the saved time become a real business benefit? So if you can't answer these questions, you still need to go back and calculate and do some homework, because it's important. So the final message from today's session is, do not start with, where can AI replace people? Definitely not. We don't want that. Start with, which repeated business process should work better? So sounds like a lot of high level words. Is essentially, look at your business, see where people are spending the most amount of time, and then see how AI can help you fix that. That's it. Yeah. And then You could do the measuring and then work out what the inputs are, the outputs are. All of those implementation details. What you do need is to look at which workflow you want to automate and then focus on it. So, question I have for you is, have you done an AI project which has delivered less than you expected? If you have, I'd like you to share that in the comments. Just put that in the comments. I'd like to see what you have done and see if there's any way we can help improve your experience of AI. And do feel free to reach out and ask any questions, and don't hesitate to subscribe. Um, I'm Uwa. I'm the founder of AutoRead.ai. In a counterintuitive way, we're actually using humans to make these HVAC calls. We're helping HVAC companies chase estimates that they've sent out that have gone quiet. So if this is something that you'd find valuable for your business, do reach out. You can send me an email at hello@autoree.ai or visit my website, autoree.ai, and book a call, and I'll be very happy to work with you. Until next time, keep winning.